Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Slow Car Salon. I'm still waiting on a couple of more parts to come in, so while waiting for those, we're going to get to a couple of smaller jobs, including painting the engine bay and painting some engine components. So let's get started. So I brought the car outside so I could paint this corner of the engine bay and get rid of all that yellowed paint. I'm going to clean and prep it as best as I can, sand it down, all that good stuff. Now it's going to be kind of difficult to remove the fuse box and wiring because it all runs through the fender. So I'm going to try my best to just get it out of the way, maybe spray one area, let it dry, then move everything back to the other side and then spray the area that it was covering previously. I think that might be the best approach. So I'm going to get started on that. Okay, wow, that contrast is amazing. It's so much cleaner than it ever was before. I think I'm going to have to paint the rest of the engine bay. Not at all planned here, but I can't just leave the rest of the engine bay looking like this, considering how much nicer this is actually a mix from Napa, where I had them mix up the Toyota OEM silver color. So this is actually meant to match the exterior paint color. So it'll look like it's factory. All right, well, I guess that means I got to remove a whole lot more stuff, mask off a whole lot more things. Probably will remove the brake master cylinder, a lot of the lines, windshield wiper motor. I'm definitely going to have to remove the crossbar plates on the shock towers there, and similarly mask up all of the wiring here. At least these parts are done because I'm trying to mask up these areas where the wiring and fuse box were a bit tricky. However, coming in here, I'll have to clean up and mask these areas off as well. This is the hood pull cable, and obviously mask off the condenser and then do the same for the other side. And I don't know, this area above here is pretty clean, and even the build plate is clean and everything up here is clean. It's just not as shiny, but if I don't paint it, it's not going to look as consistent. So I guess I might have to do that as well. Okay, car's back in the garage. I guess if you're going to go so far as to clean up the engine bay and paint it, you might as well do the whole thing. So next job is remove some stuff, mask everything off, and have another go at the paint. Well, that was a heck of a lot of work, but the engine bay is all prepped and ready to be painted. A good trick is to use aluminum foil along all the lines because it's very easily formable and you can crush it around the line and provides a very nice mask off for those lines. Even to shove it into holes, bolt holes where you don't want paint going in. For instance, that goes straight into the interior where the brake booster goes. And I'd say otherwise it's pretty much ready to go. Made sure to really mask off with all the paper that I could in areas where I didn't want paint going. Probably still need a little bit more by the windshield over there. But once I get a little bit more paint, because I didn't have a whole bunch in the can that I originally sprayed the front areas with, I'll get another can mix from Napa, and then go over the whole thing, and then actually clear coat it too. Okay, I went ahead and resprayed the rest of the engine bay with the silver paint that I got, and it is looking rather amazing. But this is not the end, because there's one last step, and that is the clear. And this is the particular clear that I'm using. I got from Napa. It's a 2K clear grammar, from clear glamour, not clear grammar. Well, hopefully I speak with clear grammar. Spray Max brand, and it is a 2-part clear. So this little button in the bottom we got to push in, and that will activate the clear coat. And then that will allow the clear coat to harden once we spray it on. However, that means once you activate it, it only has a shelf life of about 48 hours. So if you're going to use it, make sure you use all of it. Otherwise, you're going to have basically a hard brick of paint inside this can, and you'll have to dispose of it. But anyways, with that, let's get this finished up. Okay, the clear is now just drying up, but oh my god, what a difference this has made. This is hours and hours of prep and work, but man, is it worth it. This looks so good. I'm gonna be so sad if it gets scratched now, especially when putting the engine in, but I guess I can try to cover it up. Oh man, look at the shine. I don't think I'll buff out the clear coat. This is definitely no show car, but this is a million times better than what it was before. All right, so now it's just got to cure. Speaking of the brake booster, this thing has seen better days. You can obviously see some brake fluid has leaked out over the years, but I think I'll go over the whole thing in Rust-Oleum just so I can get a nice gloss kind of enamel look to it. I think that should tidy the rusty spot area pretty well. What? NANI? Bendix? It's not OEM. Oh man, the brake booster is looking awesome. That Rust-Oleum gloss enamel paint works a charm. I also painted the hardware that goes on the booster as well, so that should match up and look real nice. Now, to move on to the intake manifolds. Alright, move my workspace to the shade because it's getting hot. Anyways, I got the manifolds out here. I'm going to give them a clean with some simple green and a brush. Stripped the upper manifold of all the EGR stuff and the lower manifold of all the fuel rail stuff. So let's get these all cleaned up. And then we're going to paint it with VHT Wrinkle Black to kind of mimic the old engine and how I had set up the valve cover intake manifolds there. The valve covers, however, will be blue, so I'm waiting on the blue paint to come in. I also took off the Lexus badge here on the manifold because I didn't really think it was going to go well having a silver Lexus badge plastered on top with all the black wrinkle. And then these lines here, these, I guess, grill lines are going to be shaved down so we have bare metal. Anyways, let's get started cleaning. Alright, now that the manifolds are super clean and I masked them all off, it's time to paint them. Now the thing is with the VHT paint, you have to spray it in 3 layers. One that's horizontal, one that's vertical, and then one that's diagonal. And then I guess you have to heat gun them after to really make sure the wrinkle comes out. These have been sitting in the sun, so they've been getting pretty warm. However, I'm still going to go with the heat gun and make sure that we get a nice tight wrinkle so it doesn't come out super flat, because when I sprayed my 22RE valve cover with the wrinkle stuff, wrinkles weren't really that great. So I'm hoping this time I can get it right. Anyways, let's get to it. These came out amazing. Definitely helped to have the direct sunlight and heat right on them because the wrinkle is really, really nice looking. I had to touch up this area back here because my spray was kind of light on it, so at least that was easy to fix. And manifold looks amazing. Super good wrinkle. I'm just gonna let this all sit in the sun a little longer just so it can cure and whatnot. I am going to then sand down these grill lines and get them all polished and nice looking. That'll really make the upper manifold pop. All right, that looks awesome now. In some places where I used aluminum foil, the masking wasn't exactly perfect, but I'm not super concerned because there's gonna be bolts and things going on top of those. Although I put masking tape on here and I got really nice clean lines around it. But man, I am so happy with the way this polished top section turned out. I didn't really bother painting the bottom though, because it's not like you're gonna be able to see it anyways. And obviously all the masked up surfaces for, say, things like the EGR, IACV, and also EGR there, also turned out really nice. All right, before I reassemble the intake manifolds though, I gotta reseal the fuel injectors, and I got a whole set of fuel injector seals. I'm gonna put that all together with some Vaseline and throw them onto the intake manifold. All right, that wraps up reassembling the intake manifolds. The fuel injectors went in real nice with the Vaseline, and the Vaseline should help the seal stay fresh a lot longer. And I also threw the gaskets on top. Now with the upper manifold, I just threw all of the EGR hardware and everything back on it, and even the IACV. So, of course, there's more to connect once these actually go on the motor, but that'll happen once I re-gasket the engine and put everything, and refresh everything on there, which will be coming up soon. Okay, now that the paint has now fully cured, it's been a couple of days, I've taken off all the masking, and my goodness, it looks beautiful. I threw the painted booster back in, and that looks awesome as well. Now that this is all pretty much cleaned up, that wraps up the engine bay painting. Alright, so that's going to be it for this episode. I'm super happy with how the engine bay turned out. It's amazing how just a little bit of prep and time can make such a worthwhile result. This is going to look so awesome with the engine in. And of course the intake manifolds too, and I'm glad I got those all redone, and of course going to throw those on the engine real soon. So stay tuned for the next one.